Woodstock today to say their final goodbyes to Laken Riley. She was murdered as she ran on UGA's campus last week. Fox 5's Kim Leffler joins us from Woodstock City Church with more on how she's being remembered. Today to say their final goodbyes to Laken Riley. She was murdered as she ran on UGA's campus last week. Fox 5's Kim Leffler joins us from Woodstock City Church with more on how she's being remembered.
Well, that service this afternoon was private, so cameras were not allowed inside, but it was clear to see how much Laken Riley was loved. The parking lot here was filled as community members came together to honor a young life gone far too soon. The red and black ribbons outside Woodstock City Church shine bright through the rain as friends and family said their final goodbyes to 22-year-old Laken Riley. Riley was killed while out for a run near the intramural fields on UGA's campus last Thursday. She grew up in Cherokee County and attended River Ridge High School. She went to UGA, where she was an active member of the Alpha Chi Omega sorority before transferring to the Augusta University College of Nursing. The pastor of Woodstock City Church, where Riley was actively involved, released a statement Friday saying in part, Laken was special. She was a gift to anyone who knew her. Smart, kind, compassionate, and thoughtful don't even begin to scratch the surface. In his statement, the church pastor continued to say, Laken's family is family to us, and as their church family, we here at Woodstock City Church are committed to walking alongside them and carrying this burden with them. Riley's family called her an amazing daughter, sister, friend, and overall person in general who will be missed every day. Now, Riley leaves behind her parents and 3 siblings. Her family plans to start the Laken Hope Riley Foundation, which will be focused on homicide awareness and safety for women. A GoFundMe account posted online already has raised over $180,000 towards that cause. Live this evening in Woodstock, Kim Leffler, Fox 5 News.
Kim, thank you.
Okay, guys, sorry for the technical difficulties this morning, but it's a Saturday. It's a Saturday. We're going to do a little bit of a different show today. I'm not going to show you any more videos. We're going to have some discussion, right? That was the funeral of Laken Riley, which occurred yesterday in Georgia. She was a victim of an illegal migrant who took her life, murdered her, and she's just one example of what can happen. So that's why we're here to try to educate, awaken, and let you guys understand what is at stake and what can happen to non-suspecting people, right? If you're not aware of what's going on, you could be a victim too. So today, let's start off by, they're here, okay? The illegals are here. They're here to stay for the most part. I'm sorry to say that. But what's coming next? Let's talk about this. This is going to be, it's just going to be my gut instinct, my speculation. We'll throw in some facts too along the way. But, so what's going to happen next? So, middle of March to the end of March, Chicago will be pushing these people out. Okay? Some of them have gotten work permits. Okay? Those people will be readily available, and there'll be a long list of companies and Democratic donors who run companies that are looking for cheap labor. They will more than readily, easily find jobs. I mean, those people are gold. They are instant gold. Okay. The other thing that you'll notice, and it's happening already somewhat, You go to like a Home Depot in the city of Chicago, close to where any of these shelters are at, and in the morning there will be, a whole platoon of males, maybe females. I don't know. I haven't done it myself, but there'll be a lot of people looking for day jobs, right? Contractor, has got some work to be done, pulls up. Maybe he's doing some demo at an apartment building, a house that he's rehabbing. Pulls up, takes a few guys, pays them cash for the day, and the work gets done. And everything is hunky-dory, right? Even though that what he just did is illegal, that's happening around Illinois, many times a day. No one's stopping it, okay? There's going to be prostitution. There's going to be theft going on by the ones that are here to do nefarious things. They'll be working with the cartels. There's a lot of street gangs in Chicago, so you'll see their numbers grow, their activity grow. So that's that. Here's an example. Lake Geneva, just north of me here. About 45 minutes in Wisconsin. One of their most famous residents during the summer is our buddy J.B. Pritzker, the Chris Christie of the Midwest, okay? I've seen year in and year out, they always have a hard time finding help to clean rooms at the resorts and hotels up there. Even like restaurants, they find hard time to find help, or waiters and food runners and what have you. So if any of those are given a work permit, they're going to find their way up to Lake Geneva, gratis of J.B. Pritzker. Okay, and they'll be working, cleaning hotel rooms if they can't speak English. If they can speak English, they'll be doing some other things, interacting with customers, and, that's what they'll be doing. All right, so what happens in Chicago now? So say I don't have a work permit. Well, there's a lot of things that Brandon, there's a lot of things that Brandon Johnson needs to get done this year. Okay? So you're going to see the ones who don't have a work permit, you're going to see things happen such as grants offered by the city of Chicago to Catholic charities maybe, or Salvation Army. So they're going to be getting grants from the city of Chicago, and maybe they'll have some cleanup details out there, right? Things like that need to be done in the city, where they need someone to pick up garbage, okay? You'll see Brandon offering these types of services to the committeemen in Chicago. It's like, hey guys, you need someone to come into your ward and pick up trash or this or that, or mow some grass or what have you. I've got an organization that can get that done for you free of charge, okay? But in essence, they've been given a grant by the city of Chicago to hire these illegals and give them work. That's how that's done, right? Because the city of Chicago technically can't hire illegals if they don't have a work permit. But your NGOs, they can do stuff like that, pretty much. So you'll see stuff like that going on. And people that do have work permits, okay, like I said, they're instant gold. But you'll see even the companies that have DNC contracts will be looking to hire these people if they have things that need to be done and they want to save a few bucks. They're going to be doing that. So it's all about whether or not you have the right to work, and if you don't, you'll pretty much be utilized by NGOs. I mean, there's always ways around the laws here in the States, right, folks? We know, you know that, I know that. There's always loopholes, and companies and organizations are going to be doing that to the fullest extent, and if not over the law. So I am DJ Wonder Chrissy. This is Migrant Mayhem. This is a Land Cruiser Midwest. Like, share, and subscribe. Talked to a gentleman yesterday at a local casino, and he said that one of his ancestors came to the United States through Ellis Island, and she was detained for like 6 months because she coughed. So back in the era of Ellis Island, if you had any indication of being sick, they detained you. They detained you in a somewhere in Ellis Island, like a hospital, and he said that, you know, for the most part back then, if you weren't sick, right, and maybe she coughed or she had a sore throat, once you're detained, you're going to be sick because now you're with all the sick people. There's no detaining or even checking of people for sickness at the border. You just come in. There's no requirement for vaccinations and what have you. So interesting fact there that now, you know, back in the Ellis Island days, they actually had standards. Today we don't have any standards. So another thing you're going to see is any city that, if it gets out that someone is a welcoming city here in the Chicago area or anywhere close to it, if that gets out, you're going to see migrants immediately migrate to that town, source, what have you. They'll utilize Greyhound buses, they'll utilize Amtrak, they'll utilize any means that they have to get there. So you're going to see a migration of people within the state of Illinois in the Midwest at a minor, smaller scale. I know last fall the city of St. Louis was looking for migrants. I don't know if they got any, but they were like, hey, send some down here. We've got loads of jobs that we need to fill. So things like that are going to happen, and you're going to see a rush of people heading towards those places that are sending up flags and flares that, hey, come here, illegals, come here, newcomers, right? The other thing is, let's talk about so middle of March, beginning of April. Beginning of April is when landscaping season starts. I live in the suburbs. Okay, we are a big drive for the landscapers. Okay, come April 1st, you'll see landscape trailers and trucks on the highways in the suburbs everywhere. You will not be able to go to the grocery store, go anywhere in the suburbs without running into 3 or 4 at a time. Let's talk about one that I know of in my town. Local landscaping company. One of my neighbors had employed this company for many years. He told me that just last year this company had at least 800 clients. Okay, in our town, surrounding area, this one company had 800 homeowners that they cut grass for on a weekly basis. So if you extrapolate that out, it's usually $100 a week to get $100 a month to get your grass cut. So the guy's got 800 customers at $100 a month. Guy's pulling in $80,000 a month. Okay. And that's just grass. Now, if they're going to fertilize for you, trim some of your trees, do some extra work that you need done on your property, he could easily you pad another 20% to that. So the guy's got 800 customers. He's going to be pulling in probably $100,000 a month. Okay, and it goes all the way through November. So my neighbor had talked to some of these guys that work for him, and they were pretty much all Hispanic. They come to the United States, I assume legally, maybe not, but who knows. They come for the season, so they show up April 1st, and somehow they find housing. Housing may be a little tight this year, right? If some of those apartments that these guys used to rent are now being utilized by illegals, it might be tough for them to find a place. It might cost them more, right? And as a result, it might cost us more now to get our grass cut. But anyway, these people, the Hispanics in the past, they show up April through November, and they work, and then they go back during the winter. They go back to Mexico. They're here pretty much to work and send money back to their families. I also know a person that has a Hispanic grocery store over in Woodstock, and I talked to him a couple of years ago, and I asked him, I said, well, it was just a small little Hispanic grocery store, and he says they make most of their money off of Western Union. They have like a Western Union kiosk in their store, and he says the biggest revenue source for them in their grocery store was sending money to Mexico. They had people that came on a weekly or regular basis that wanted to send money to Mexico, and this grocery store was cleaning up on it. So there's an example of the olden days, right? The good old days. May not be so good for the Hispanics anymore, because now there's another source of workers, right? So you got these landscaping companies. They're going to be taking they're going to be taking up these new migrants and maybe employing them. I know back in 2008, 2009, when money was flowing freely and they were giving out mortgages to anyone, here in my town we had a big problem where, say, a Hispanic who was legally documented and everything, he would buy a cheap house, and then he would rent out rooms to like 5 or 6, maybe more, of people who were looking for a place to stay. Sometimes, one bedroom, he would rent it out in the morning, and if he could find somebody that worked in the morning, that person could come at night while the other person would be there during the day. So he could like have 2 or 3 people assigned to each bedroom and be making a profit. This is easily seen when you go buy a house, and I think people start complaining now about this stuff starting to show up again in our local town here, where you got like 7 or 8 cars at one house. I heard that there's a couple of places around town where people are parking on yards because the driveways don't fit all the cars that the people have, and this is why. So you're going to see stuff like that happen. You're just going to see a lot of weird stuff. You're going to see people at various places. You're not going to know if they're the newcomers, or they call them the newcomers now. Joe wants us to call them the newcomers, not the illegal immigrants. So you're gonna see what the money's gonna be flowing. You can't stop the flow of the money. I know we talked about this before, that The flow of money, because this is a crisis, right? It's a border crisis. This is a way for our politicians to implement universal basic income, UBI. It's a hell of a lot easier to implement something during a crisis than, be transparent about it during normal times when you're going to get pushback, right? So instead of giving universal basic income to Americans in need, what they're going to do is give it to the newcomers and then expand it to the American homeless and the American downtrodden. It's a much easier process because you have to do it for the illegals right now, right? You're not going to get much pushback, or the pushback is kind of muted because it needs to be done. These people have to have money to survive. You have to provide them with certain things. You got to provide them with diapers. You got to provide them with food. You got to provide them with pretty much health care and everything. So this is also a way for our government to implement more parts of socialism in the socialistic agenda. Universal basic income, folks. Is what's happening right now as you watch, because we're providing apartment money to these people, and supposed to be only 6 months worth, but it's going to go longer than that. Mark my words, they're going to come up with more money from somewhere to give these people more money, and it's going to be an endless stream of cash. All right, so that's what I got. I'm 22 minutes already in, and hope you guys enjoyed the discussion. Be on the lookout. Keep your head on a swivel. Don't be like Lake and Riley. Don't be a victim. Don't be a statistic, folks. But be on the lookout for what's ahead, and we'll talk about more what's ahead in the next couple of days. And I enjoy your viewership. Shout out to Last Incarnate out of Denver. He says that we can't confirm. I haven't been able to confirm this, but he left a message saying that in Denver they are using Ubers. Someone is paying for Ubers to get kids to the grade schools in Denver. So the craziness just keeps coming quicker and faster, folks. I don't know what to tell you. At some point, common sense needs to prevail, but so far it's not. All right, that's all I got for this morning.